I'm going to sing for you first. There's a young man that I know, his age is 21. He comes from down in southern Colorado, and he loves that damned old rodeo as much as he loves me. Someday soon, going with him someday soon. My parents cannot stand him 'cause he rides the rodeo. They say that he would leave me crying, but I would follow him right down the roughest road I know. Someday soon, going with him someday soon. When it comes to call my pa, he ain't got a good word to say. That's because he was just as wild back in his younger days. So blow you, oh blue northern, blow my love to me. He's driving in tonight from California, and he loves that damned old rodeo as much as he loves me. Someday soon, going with him someday soon. Someday soon, going with him someday soon. Thank you. Now, before I start my story, that is, of course, someday soon. I'm waiting for something. You probably know what that something is. But I wanted to tell the story of why I'm standing here today and why I got the dream job that I did. But first of all, please, round of applause, all of my parents that are in this room. Anybody that I taught your kid, clap, 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 clap. I know you've been waiting a long time. As you know, I'm a music teacher, and anytime a music teacher is in front of you, this is not what you see. This is what you see. So you get my better side today. Thank you so much. But I wanted to tell you the story of my first job. I had just graduated college, and I moved back home because Norfolk is the greatest city ever. And I moved here, and I applied to all the cities, the million, trillion cities that are surrounding Norfolk. And I got a call. I'd met with Human Resources downtown, and I got a call from a principal in Norfolk calling saying, hello, we would like you to come in for an interview. I was like, oh, good. I'm like 22, months old. And I said, oh, I can come in tomorrow. She's like, okay, well, here is what you will have to do. I'm like, oh, God. So she says, there will be 3 parts to the interview. And she really did talk like that. So she said, first of all, you will have to play the Star Spangled Banner in B flat. It's like, okay. And then you will have to play something of your highest competency, and then you'll have to sight read something. That was part 1. And then part 2, you'll have to write up 2 lesson plans. One was melody for 1st grade, and one was rhythm for 4th grade. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. And then I'll have to teach them to her. Okay. So then she says, and the 3rd part will be the question and answer. And I'm like, okay, I can handle that. But don't think I can come in tomorrow. Might need a couple days. Okay. So, and this summer, I think I'm babysitting and just doing odd jobs around town, and I think I got a speeding ticket the day before the interview because I was so nervous, and my parents live right over here, and I was living with them, and we had a piano at the time. We don't have it anymore, but we had one then, and I was practicing. Well, I had all these books that I had gotten from college, and, that had the music in it, and Star Spangled Banner, and I go, and I'm, well, this is an A flat. Oh, I need B flat. She wanted B flat. So I go, no, I'm going to have to transpose it. She's testing me. So I transposed it. Now, I'm going in 3 days later, so I have 3 days to do all of these things. So I transposed it into the B flat key, and I just memorized it in the new key. And I'm not a pianist, mind you. This was a huge test for me. So I learn it in the new key, I get all my things together, and I go in for the interview. And I sit down, and it turns out she's the assistant principal, but she used to be a music teacher. So the principal was like, oh, you can handle this. You know what you're doing. So I come in, and she's got jet black hair and big red nails that were long, and oh, God. So I come in and sit down, and she's lovely, and she brought in one of the kindergarten teachers who had also been used to be a music teacher, but now is teaching kindergarten, and she was lovely. And so I come in and sit down with them, and, we're exchanging niceties and talking, and we start with the talking part, and they ask me about my philosophies in teaching and all this, and so we get to the end of that part, and she says, okay, well, why don't we move to the piano portion? I was like, okay, man, it was tough. I couldn't find Star Spangled Banner in B flat, so I had to transpose. She was like, what? I didn't mean for you to do that. Oh my God. And I was like, check this. Okay, that's good. So we go into the room with the piano, and I play this song, and I think I sang it the whole time too. I just had become a part of me, and then I played my other two pieces, and she was like, okay, that sounds great. She said, you don't need to show me the lesson plans. I think, it'll be fine. Thank you so much. And I left, and I remember leaving saying, oh, that was awesome. I think I did really well. And I got a call later in the day, and they offered me the job. So I got my first job. I was so excited. And it wasn't my dream job, but 3 years later, I met my dream guy who came my third year teaching. And Jim's in the room tonight. Hi, Jim.
He's taping.
So he's taping, right? It wasn't my dream job, but I met my dream guy. He followed me as I left. And so a friend of mine who was teaching at Norfolk Academy at the time called me and said, hey, our music teacher's leaving. You gotta come and interview. And I was like, no, I just gotten tenured. I'm happy. The principal was not, she had become principal at this point, the Elvira. So she was leaving me alone for the most part. So I was having a crush on this guy over here. So, well, I guess that wasn't that year. I didn't leave. See, he came the next year. So I was asked, come interview. And then I was like, no. And then the next year I stayed my fourth year, and that's when he came. And I said, hey, you want to run in a race? He was like, okay. He went that night to the store. I need some tennis shoes. I got to run a race with a girl. So anyways, enough about him. So I go another year. We, teach together and become good friends, whatever. And I get a call from the same teacher again. It's like, oh, they hired this girl and she's not even staying. Would you please come and interview? And I was like, okay, fine. So y'all probably know the Azalea Festival. It's a wonderful tradition here with NATO. And we, of course, had hosted the Queen at my school. And I put on this huge program. It was amazing. And the next day I took the day off to go interview at Norfolk Academy. And I walked in the door of the front, and it was like, oh, I was like, oh my God, this place is amazing. And so I went and had my interview, much easier the second time. And I sat in there, and it was great. And I met with Dennis, who was very new at the time. He's only been there a year, maybe half a year. He was lovely. And I got a call that day. They offered me the job. It was amazing. So you're wondering, who's my hero? Well, through all of this, I've had something inside of me. It's kind of like Dorothy, where she didn't know all the time that she had this in her. To start from a very humble beginning and work my way through. Music's always been a huge part of my life. And I realized when I got to that point that I was actually very capable of doing a good job and being the volcanic one, which, by the way, Dennis Manning gave me that name. I did not make that up, I promise. And so I realized something. How did I get here? What was it that made me who I am? Well, easy. I am my Father's daughter. He is my music. He is my rhythm. He is my hero.
Oh, sweet
I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you Thank you.